Real heavy!
What's up, everybody?
What's up, everybody? It's James.
James and Rhett. Security guard.
Welcome to another episode of Real Heavy Podcast. Please like, share, subscribe. It helps us with the algorithms.
Mm-hmm.
And in this episode, we are talking about everything else that we listen to that is real heavy in the month of January 2026.
There you go.
We did our previous death metal favorite death metal albums of January 2026, which y'all should check out. But in this episode, we are talking about our favorite everything else albums. So we're talking doom, sludge, mathcore, grindcore, post-hardcore, post-metal, shoegaze,
everything in between.
Everything.
There was so much good music last month. We had to make two separate videos because everyone would be too overwhelmed. So, and
we were
eating
good.
We were eating good, feeling fat and happy, and trying to stay warm. So, like we said, we're starting a new trend. We got to get the riff blankets going. Get the sit by the fire, listen to a good riff, stay warm, stay heavy. So, I think how we're gonna do with this one is we're gonna split it up, right?
Yeah,
we're gonna
start with some doom sludge stuff. And then we're going to go into some shoegaze, and then we're just going to keep on going down the list, keep trucking.
Absolutely.
You want to kick this thing off?
I'm going to kick this thing off. And I'm going to kick this thing off in a big way. And I think another word you would use for big, you'd say giant. And I think that this band, also called Djent, from Australia, and they put out an ever sick album called Beneath the Mountains. For some reason, you've not heard of these guys. They're like a stoner doom metal band. Like, think Black Sabbath, Electric Wizard, Conan vibes. Like, riffs in this album are thicker than a Snickers, Bath and Molasses. Like, you got to weigh 300 pounds in order to be able to be able to listen to this stuff. Like, complete dad vibes. And like, did not disappoint whatsoever. Big boy vibes. You gotta put on your big boy pants and your big boy shoes to listen to this. So they lived up to their name. They had this whole album is just it's like you're cruising at 60 miles an hour, but you're cruising at 60 miles an hour in like a rock truck. It's just you're going slow, but man, you're going heavy. And like, these guys lived up to the name with some giant riffs. And like, you couldn't help but smile like at the end of each riff. Like, it's a great listen. The one thing, like, the guitar tone is super tight. It kind of has that punch that HM2 pedals have, but it doesn't have the buzzsaw. It kind of has that clarity with that punch, which is kind of nice because I think the buzzsaw would have taken away from a little bit of the sound. But the vocals are really nice too, because they're more of like a growl. They're not like a scream. So it sounds like just a bunch of dudes hanging out in their garage, jamming out, having a good time. And that's exactly what these guys did. I think it's like one of those albums where you need to decompress after a long day, throw this album on. You having a few beers in the garage with the guys, you looking for some background music that's going to keep the mood nice and mellow, but yet, it's all about guy talk. Then you got to put on this record. So it's just like it's a dude's album is what it is. So yeah, but I can't say anything more. Love it.
I'm going to spin off that. I'm going to riff off that. We got another sludge doom release. These guys came out of Kaluga, Russia. And it's a band called Remote with their album Parish. Some of the coolest artwork. If you guys check them out on Bandcamp, they have a really high output for being a Russian band. And all their shit is so good. And the project started in 2011. Super solid back catalog of releases. If you're into bands like Conan, Bong Ripper, but more atmospheric, meditative, dark, and super like immersive. The riffs and the grooves in this album are super thick, like Campbell's chunky chicken noodle thick, with more fuzz than your mom's minge.
Ooh.
The vocalist has great range from like the mid range to the highs and the lows. And if you're looking for like your daily doing tasks kind of music, like working on your car in the garage, or sipping beers in the garage, or just being in the garage, cleaning the garage.
Any garage
you're in the
activity.
garage. Any garage. Could be your garage, could be somebody else's garage. Just break into garage.
Could be building
a
garage.
And just, you could be building a garage. It's garage music. But it's really good music for doing daily tasks because it has the ability to kind of put you in a trance. It's easy listening. As far as we're concerned, this is easy listening, but it's heavy as fuck. And I imagine, seeing it live, it would resonate deep within your soul, just with the guitar tone and the riffs, and super cool. I've been really getting into, doom sludge lately, so sometimes
it's hard not to when you have releases like this. They're just so good.
Yeah.
So it's sick. Might as well go 3 for 3 off the rip, right? So I got, again, another stoner doom metal band, except these guys are from Poland. The band's called Smoke Rites, and their album Eager Eyes of Talion. Again, like we were saying, great month for stoner and doom releases, and like these guys put out another banger of an album. Like there's a little bit more edge to this one. Like I'd say the aforementioned bands, like the vocals, yeah, they're dark, but they don't have like that shrill sometimes, like those screams. And I think this one feels like the guy is like shrieking and screaming with the vocals. Makes your hair stand up a little bit more on edge. But then they got like that, they paired it with the HM2 and the fuzz, and it just kind of has that grimy and gross and kind of off-putting sound. And it's just, but yet it's shrieking. And then yet you're like, I'm getting a warm hug of blankets, but inside the blankets, they're all filled with spikes and they're cutting me up, but yet I feel warm. Like it's weird. It's really weird. It's got that it factor that you're looking for. Anything that you're looking for with like the slow chunky riffs, the longer song lengths, it's all just the best of both worlds. So again, you like Black Sabbath, you like Sleep, the band, not the activity. I think we all like Sleep. Maybe like a little bit of Acid Bath too. It's got like that southern US twang with a lot of the instruments and stuff that Acid Bath has. So I think all in all, shouldn't be something that you skip. Should be automatic listen. So check her out.
So we're gonna keep down this stoner doom genre road, and we're driving down the road, and we come across a 3-piece band from Texas called Temptress with their album Here. This album uses elements of drone, doom. There's some post-rock and post-metal, grunge, even some like hardcore kind of elements to it. But it flows together like molten lava into a liquid metal assassin. This album moves and churns with searing hooks, dissonant grooves, and atmospheric, doom-laden passages that continue to move and change and keep things interesting throughout the entire album. If you like bands like Kylesa, Heavy Temple, Hippie Death Cult, then you'll really dig this. And if you like anything stoner, doom, it's a really great, easy listen, but still heavy, and just a phenomenal record. So check out Temptress.
Love it. This one,
shoegaze, hey?
We're going with some shoegaze. I think these ones are always they're always nice. You know, like I think with us listening to some very heavy shit, sometimes you just need like a feel good album. Sometimes a little bit of a palate cleanser. Like not diminishing these guys at all in terms of like their creative ability. It's just that in comparison to everything else. But these guys are from the UK. They're called Blanket, and they put out an album called True Blue. The one phrase I used to describe this was essentially it's summer in a bottle. And honestly, the way that the weather has been in Winnipeg the last month, where some days you're waking up and it's minus 50, like sometimes you just need that music to be like, okay, I need to think 6 months in advance when I'm by the lake and the weather's nice. And these guys couldn't have released this album at a better time. Like it's very groovy, it's very ambient, it's like the vocals are they're calming, but like yet you still have intensity with the instrumentation, which I think is nice. Like when you have a lot of black gaze albums and stuff, obviously the vocals are really harsh, but the instrumentation stays the same. So I appreciate sometimes where it's just like, you know what, let's take a step back, let's just have it a little bit calmer. And I think it just made for a really nice refresh of everything. So again, if you like bands like Deftones, Split Chain, Flushwater, then this album should definitely be in your rotation for that. So I think it's no shame. Sometimes you, like you said, you just need those palate cleansers, and these guys did a fantastic job at that. So
sick. Keeping on the same train here. This next album, I've never listened to these guys before, but I decided to give it a rip. It had like really great reviews. It's a band called Blackwater Holylight with their release Not Here, Not Gone. So this is an all-female lineup and band, and this album is incredible from front to back. It is psychedelic, doom, post-rock, lots of that shoegaze elements. There's some indie ambient elements. I think this band's originally from Portland, but I think they're based out of LA now. But this album is really cool because it has the ability to be dreamy and ambient with all like the shoegazy elements of the guitars and the symphonic elements. But then it goes through these like really heavy songs, like Spade, where it's like heavy, fuzzy, doomy, and like really scuzzy at the same time. It's just kind of like dirty and like off-putting. There's some blast beats, there's some double kicks, there's some really big, heavy, chunky riffs, but I would say in the delivery, the undertone is like restrained, if that's the word. Like when they're playing the drums and you hear the double kicks, it's not like thudding. It's not like it's like, you know, the way it's mixed or the way it's produced, it's like softer, if that makes sense. Almost like black metal, kind of black gaze elements. But I really, yeah, it's just so many elements and of this album that blend really seamlessly together. And you can kind of pick out every little element, especially if you're a fan of all this kind of music. And it creates a whole experience, like a journey. This is a perfect album. I'm not going to advocate drugs, but if you're into smoking weed, light one up, throw this puppy on, and enjoy the ride from front to back, because it'll take you on a journey. And it's really good. It's a super emotional album. Has these big like twists and turns and makes you really feel something deeply. So I can't recommend it enough. And I think it's going to be on a lot of year-end lists. I do. Just because it's so diverse. It's so perfect in every way. So yeah, Blackwater Holylight with Not Here, Not Gone.
Sick. It's just so chill, so fun.
Yeah.
Can't say much more.
Now let's open it up to some black metal.
Blackies and black metal. Black metal. If only I could do that. And I'm going to start it off with a one-man black gaze project from Poland. I'm probably going to butcher this, but it's called Miasme or Miaz. Called Keep Them at a Distance. I think this is probably one of the most underrated albums that we listened to in January. It's just you're fusing elements of like shoegaze, black metal, a little bit of post metal. Like I think this album basically has it all. I think it's probably, if you really liked Lonely People with Power last year and you're kind of looking for something that has that next step in terms of that edge, not only just musicianship wise, but just in terms of its darkness and things like that, but still keeping some of the black gaze elements, then this is like your next listen, in my opinion. Like the musicianship is like still dissonant, but yet if uplifting, and it creates like a super unique listening experience. What I love that about black gaze albums is it's like, you know what, it's not like a berating like a vocal performance and then the drums, and then sometimes it's just like it's too much to handle. It can't be like a daily driver in a sense, whereas you get into this genre, if you produce a really great black gaze album, then like it can easily be something you throw on every day and there's no issue at all. But again, through all the twists and the turns and everything, it keeps you locked in for the 43-minute runtime, which I really appreciate as well. Like you keep unlocking new layers each time that you listen to this. I think like the instrumentation and the production is top notch. So I think I can only imagine the more I listen to it, the more time I spend with it, then there's probably a good chance it's going to end up on probably my year-end list or someone else's year-end list. So I think check it out ASAP as possible.
Sweet.
Urgent.
All right, moving on. Similar vein of genre with the black gaze elements. I shouted out this one woman project and her one multi-instrumentalist Alice Samard from Quebec in the previous death metal video with her project Luminous. But this project's called Turpitude with Mordoré. This is another incredible release by Al Samard. It's actually so mind-bogglingly insane how she's able to put out so many projects that are so genre-bending and different from each other. Her output is prolific. I keep shouting her out. I shouted her out in the recent episode, which was that album. That Luminesce album is insane in its own right. But then there's this incredible atmospheric and lo-fi black metal, black gaze project, which is both beautifully written and packed full of top tier riffs. The songwriting is incredible. It's unique. It's inventive. The musicianship is like chef's kiss. Amazing. Production and the sound and the mix is perfectly crafted for this type of lo-fi black metal. It's raw, yet it's ethereal, and it's highly rewarding on repeat listens. So like you said about the last album, you could probably pick something up every time you listen to it. You probably pick something up that's a little bit different, but it keeps it interesting and it's like very listenable that way. If you like bands like Death Heaven, Hate Forest, Windswept, you'll really dig this album. It's really, really cool. Check it out. I believe it's only on Bandcamp. I don't think it's on Spotify, but check out all of her projects. They're all amazing. If you're into metal, any genre, I guess, of metal, she's which is wild. But yeah, check her out. Turpitude. Yeah, can't get enough of it. It's super good.
She's a beast.
Yeah.
Lucky she's on our side, being a Canadian.
Yeah.
We claim her as ours. Okay, moving on. Now I'd say this album probably would rival Lonely People with Power as like the gold standard of black gaze albums coming up. And it's a band from Denmark called Mole and their album DREAMCRUSH.
You found another, treating your skin for pain, what makes you suffer, and to feel this.
I listened to this album multiple times, and I think like through the first listen that I had, I'm like, this is already at that same level of Lonely People with Power, if not higher. Like, I only say that because that last album was like the gold standard. It was on so many year-end lists. It was like top 5, top 10s all over the place. And I just think what sets this album apart from the other, like from the Death Heaven release, was just there's more diverse in the song structures and the tones. Like they still have the shoegaze and the black gaze and like some punk elements and everything that switch up, but there seems to be more of a change in like the dynamics of it all. Like there's more clean singing with this one, there's more ambient parts with this one, and I think with it not being so overbearing, if that makes sense, like it basically knows when it's not overstaying its welcome. It's just basically like a little teaser here and there, but then yet the whole, if you're encompassing basically everything from the album, it's just all in all, it's a much easier listen. I won't say it's an easy listen, but it's easier than what it would have been, if that makes sense. It makes it way more accessible and everything like that. So I think, yeah, they were very intentional with with the creative abilities, using the more instrumental parts and everything like that. And I think it's just each part is curated essentially to have maximum exposure, but then yet knowing, okay, like we're gonna break things up here, gonna change things. And I think that just made it very, very enjoyable to listen. So would not surprise me if this ended up again on more year-end lists and maybe even mine. So we'll have to see what happens. It's probably just going to get better with each listen here. So check them out.
Oh, shit.
Absolutely.
That was a really cool album. It was
yeah, like I didn't even no promotion, no nothing. It was just dropped and then like shit hits you in the face.
Yeah. Sick. Okay, so now we're getting into some real dirty, grimy black and roll, rock and roll, metal, thrash, punk band from New York called Funeral Dancer with their album Inner Gate. This is some real like dirtbag fucking music. It rips so hard. It brings me back to the skateboarding days, stuff that you'd listen to while you're ripping around the skate park all day and, you know, skull crushing beers and doing all that real thrasher type shit. This album is like heavy metal mixed with thrash riffs with a punk rock attitude and a super, super harsh black metal vocal. Like, it's just like this dude is like, I can just imagine him in the forest in a cave, you know, and they're just rocking out. He's got the leather on, he's got the fucking spikes on, you know, but instead of it being straight up black metal, it's like rock and roll and real grimy rock and roll. Great guitar solos, really fun songwriting. I love the vocal call out. It's kind of like after the intro of a song called Index of Death, where the vocalist is like, all right, you motherfuckers, let's see you fucking thrash. It's like the most obvious call out ever, but it's just so heavy and funny. But it's just like, yeah, so fun. If you like really dirty, grimy rock and roll bands like that newer album that came out last year from that band called Night, which is kind of like another black and roll album. Bands like Eluding, there was an album on band dropped an album on Transcending Obscurity Records last year called Floating. That was on a lot of year-end lists. It was kind of more like a black gaze type, like black metal rock and roll album. And then a black metal band called Vorga, which blends a lot of that punk kind of black and roll elements as well. If you like that kind of stuff, you'll really like this. It's super fun, just straight up degenerate heavy metal.
This podcast is sponsored by Iron Image Barbell Club. Iron Image is located in Selkirk, Manitoba. It is the gym of choice for moi. It offers a whole host of fitness equipment. Your classic bodybuilding gym equipment. If you like to lift heavy things and listen to heavy ass fucking music, then Iron Image is the place for you. They also offer spin classes and yoga, group fitness classes, or high intensity cardio classes, if you're into that sort of thing. I enjoy going to the gym, lifting heavy shit while I listen to heavy ass music. If you enjoy that as well, then you have to check out Iron Image Barbell Club. They are fucking awesome.
All right, next up, we got a lot of stuff. Hardcore, post-hardcore, Screamo, got some metalcore, some grindcore, got some Djent. So if you kick it off.
Let's get her going. And this one is a hardcore crossover band from LA called Gylt, and their album In 1,000 Agonies I Exist. This album, you should have no excuse to get it in. Like, if you have 11 minutes in your day, which I'm sure you're doing 11 minutes, like you could take a shit for 11 minutes and you could listen to this album, then just put it on and you'll rip it and finish it front to back. And this one it's got that brutality from like the punk rock-esque riffs, like the ones that like make you get the bellowing screams, the drums are super tight and unrelenting, and then it basically like makes you want to bounce up and down. Like, it's just a crossover type of feel good album. Like, if you're familiar with the bands Spy and Gel, separate bands, not Spy and Gel, then you know exactly what that sound is coming from, like that West Coast hardcore scene. I think it's basically like if you're a surfer dude and you kind of want a little bit more edge to your music, then you probably would throw this record on. Ideally someone who's probably in like the punk scene, and again, they're kind of looking for that next step. They got the itch. Maybe looking for something for hardcore. I think this one's probably a good mix between the two. Ideally for the whole family, but you know, sometimes it's not gonna get there. But I think it's just such a fun album. I don't know what else to say. It's just, yeah, hardcore punk influence, tons of fun.
Hell yeah. Speaking of hardcore, feels like I'm drowning in ice water.
Ice water,
Twice as hotter.
hotter.
We got Crush Your Soul with Ice Water. This is New York hardcore, featuring members of Mind Force. We got Jay Pita on vocals, who has probably one of the most iconic vocal deliveries in modern hardcore. You just hear his voice and you're like, okay, that's the Mind Force guy. And then members of other iconic heavy hitters in the East Coast hardcore scene: Simulacra, Gridiron, Scarab, Recycled Earth. This is like classic New York hardcore turned up to 15. We've got like Marauder style crossover thrash riffs with like leeway style vocal deliveries. It's got a huge New York hip hop influence. This is the perfect, album to throw on when you're in the gym to help fuel that pump, because the sound of this album is supremely heavy and it's very ignorant, extremely ignorant. The vibe of this album is very New York underground hip hop, when you have a lot of like the samples in between songs, kind of like a Wu-Tang Clan album. There's even like a cool hip hop feature at the end where they get SD Knack on one of the tracks, which I didn't know that I needed, but it was actually really cool. I wish there was more. Like, I know New York hip hop is New York hardcore, especially, they kind of lean really heavily into the New York hip hop, underground hip hop kind of style, the way they dress, the community, the scene, the culture, all that kind of stuff. But like, bands like Bayway and stuff like that, like, I really like that because it's so uniquely New York when it comes to hardcore, but it's like, I just fucking love it. So fun, like, just it's just really fun and cool and creative and gets your blood pumping. So
Hell yeah.
the Crush Your Soul album is so good.
Well, hey, you got 8 million people in New York. You might as well try and fuse some people together, right?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's basically like a heavy mind. If you like Mind Force, this is like an even more heavy, like pummeling Mind Force.
It's got some
More
attitude.
More beat down shit. So,
like, after listening to that album, you got to increase the size of your shirts by like 2 sizes.
yeah.
Baggy clothes everywhere.
FUBU jerseys back.
Okay. Next up, we got another one-man project, metalcore and hardcore solo project from Indianapolis called Funeral Language, and his album Thank You for the Dead Body.
I wanna put things until it goes away. Taking all the pride and see everything dead. I wanna see if all the bad as they say. Behind everything. I wanna hold my breath till I'm blue as a flame. Every breath that I take will fall into every step.
Right off the rip, it's like huge Every Time I Die and Better Lovers vibes. Like, you can, like you said about the vocals from Mind Force, it's like, like within the first 10 seconds that it's like this guy drew inspiration from them. It's sick. But the only thing that I think of is, like, I think the vocals are a little heavier than the aforementioned bands. They got a little bit more grits and a little bit more intensity. But I think the star of the show for sure for me is like the guitars are bouncy, but then yet they're abrasive. But nothing gets stale or repetitive. It just makes like a super fun and enjoyable listen. And again, like all throughout all the playing and stuff, like I know with one man projects you can re-record things and you don't have to worry about trying to make sure you sound in tune. But still to be able to have the production where everything sounds tight and sounds uniformed, I think is still crazy impressive. And that's the one thing that I loved was yet everything was abrasive, but yet it was crisp and clear and still had that intensity. So again, another super digestible album, 22 minutes. You can listen to it on your lunch break, fuck some shit up, eat your food, get back to work. No one's gonna know. No one's gonna know a thing. So I think, yeah, do yourself a favor and check out Funeral Language for sure. Like you won't be disappointed in that one.
Hell yeah. Well, driving the cart down the same aisle of the grocery store as the Funeral Language album, we have Toothless with Past Futures.
What is the point in waiting when all that present side cannot even become your own? It's ancient paralyzing. The realization that there must have been lost to sadness.
So this is like a really savage, chaotic, hardcore debut album from this incredible Pennsylvania post-hardcore band. If you like bands like Norma Jean, Johnny Booth, Every Time I Die, The Bled, or even Under Oath, or even Greyhaven, this is right up your alley, right up your aisle. You're gonna have a solid time with this album. I get a lot of because it's more punchy, it's faster. I get a lot of Dead and Divine, or there's a band from the East Coast of Canada called A Sight for Sewn Eyes, or even Teeth, like that, kind of chaotic hardcore mathcore project. I think they're Canadian.
Yeah, they're from Vancouver.
Canadian. They played a bunch of shows. We saw them. And yeah, they're this reminds me of that because it's really fast and punchy, with a lot of really creative groovy guitar parts. But while these guys play or pay homage to the mentioned bands, they really delivered something uniquely their own on this album. It incorporates a lot of mathcore, chaotic hardcore elements, even some post metal and sludge sprinkled throughout the album. It's just really heavy. It's really well written, really fun. I didn't get I get there's so many throwback vibes that I get from this band and this album. Production is solid, it's top notch, and it was mastered by Will Putney, so it's got that good stamp of approval on it. And you can tell it's very, very well done. I think it's going to be in a lot of year-end lists for mathcore or hardcore, post-hardcore releases. Similar to that Funeral Language album, I thought that was absolutely phenomenal. Kind of put them in the same grocery cart there. So
maybe there's a 2-for-1 special at the metal grocery store where it's you can get both of these albums for the price of one.
Yeah, exactly.
That'd be sick.
Fresh.
Okay, now we're going more of straight metalcore here, from Texas, and a band called Semper Acerbus with their album Following Omens. I remember, I think this is probably one of the tightest pure metalcore releases that I've heard in a super long time. It felt like I was listening to Parkway Drive and Trivium in early 2000s, how you have the harmonic leads and the bounds and everything, but then yet it's just the song structure. I can't describe the song structure, but it's, if you know those bands, you know how they structure their songs, and it's just basically a feel good party the whole way. And And I absolutely love that style of metalcore. Like, I know it's not, maybe some of the purists won't like it, but for me, I do. Like, the leads in this album are super tight. They have a lot of cosmic and like ambient parts as well to kind of cleanse the palate. But again, it's just, you don't really need that so much when you're listening to this style of album, but it's still nice to have every once in a while. But it doesn't diminish at all from the intensity. The vocals are still super punishing, and the guitars are yet somewhat bright and, like, again, melodic, which I think has that nice balance. Sometimes they'll like bounce off of each other, but it's just, all in all, like, you like 2000s metalcore and you want some modern spin on production and just like a feel good album to rip, then yeah, check out Semper Acerbus.
Sweet. All right, now we're getting into Screamo territory here. So this album was a big it was like a big surprise for me. I didn't really know what to think. I just kind of like threw it into our playlist and, you know, press play kind of thing, not knowing anything about this band. The band is called Youth Novel, with their album I Went Through This Experience Smiling. If you know anything about me, you know that I'm a sucker for great Screamo, or as the kids call it nowadays, scrams, or emo violence. I'm not going to call it that. I'm just going to call it Screamo because that's what it's called. But like, I grew up listening to Lex on Fire and, you know, Orchid and bands like that. So, yeah, this album was definitely a sleeper for me. I saw it posted in a Facebook group and I decided to check it out. And then I listened to this album. I was like, oh my God, this is so good. And then I found out that they put out a previous album about 5 years ago, which is also incredible. And this is an album that will get its hooks in you and kind of keep you there. But production on this thing is phenomenal. It's mixed beautifully where you can hear all the instruments very clearly, which is kind of rare for Screamo releases now. I find like, you know, a lot of them are very like kind of muddied and yeah, have a lot of that like Converge style sound to it where it's like really dense and kind of like hard to make out what the instruments are doing, like a barrage of sound. But this is very dense. It's very clear, which is not like most new Screamo releases. So that in that way, it kind of gives me like throwback vibes. The songwriting is really creative. It's interesting. There's a lot of like math rock instrument with the guitars. Think like Minus the Bear or even botch elements. There's like some tapping parts. There's some really like technical yet chaotic parts, but it's really restrained at the same time. It's not just like guns ablazing, like crazy noodly clown parts. It's like very well orchestrated and written. And their sound all has like a really nice post-hardcore or punk hardcore underpinning, which kind of gives me a lot of those like really early 2000s, even like late 90s vibes, which is super cool. I get like Hope's Fall, early Alexis on Fire, Minus the Bear, Botch. But yeah, the album itself has the ability to be really intense, like pulverizingly heavy, chaotic, yet very restrained, interesting, beautiful, all at the same time. Just overall great listen, fantastic release. Will likely end up on my year-end list this year.
Absolutely. Yeah, that one was such a one that just came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like you said, like it was, I love those albums. They make me feel so good.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it's a
speaking
feel good album.
yeah, Feel Good album by Gorillaz. New song. Not Feel Good Inc. Feel Good album.
Yeah.
And speaking of feel good albums, then we got a real good one here. A lot of deathcore band called Kip Dynamite. Also, sick name. And their album's called Eluding Cosmic Destruction. I tried to do some research on these guys, and they're from parts unknown. Like, I don't know where they're from. Their Spotify description just says metal. Like, I don't know. Like, these guys could just be, they're probably just living in their mom's basement, just playing the most insane deathcore that was released this month. And hey, no shame about it. It was a great release. Like, it feels like this is something that would be released in like the MySpace deathcore days with like some serious cosmic gaze, which adds like a nice layer of dimension. Like, if you can't tell by the album cover, then I think you're probably delusional. But it's just having that fusion of the two is pretty sweet. Breakdowns, like, they're not super cheesy, they're not drawn out, like they're placed there for what they're meant to, is to break the songs up and keep the intensity. They're simplistic, they're brutal. The vocals still super soul crushingly heavy. But then pairing it with the deathcore riffs and the licks and everything, like it's you would think that it would be convoluted with like the cosmic overlays, but then the ripping guitars and everything, but somehow it all fuses together and it works super well. I think I get some Born of Osiris vibes a little bit, with not as cosmic during the breakdowns, but like having that I guess you can say that influence is definitely still there. Maybe a little bit of As Blood Runs Black and like Old Acacia Strain, like during the main parts when the cosmic influence isn't there, and when it's got that like that hard beat down riffs, it's like Old Acacia Strain for sure, but like still like more brutal. Like, I would say like the guitar tone is definitely, it's not as punchy. It definitely has like that thickness to it, but all in all, it's heavy as fuck. Like, real stamped, heavy, approved. Get in your ear holes. Stamped.
Yeah. Just gonna throw it back to another Screamo release. Big Screamo vibes this year. I think this is going to be a big year for Screamos. So this is an album by a project called Calm and Secure, and the album is called Glass in the Mouth of the Sun. Everything about the aesthetic of this project. I love the album artwork. I love the whole vibe. Everything is just so, MySpace era grind core, math grind, type shit. But it's actually two members from two of my favorite MySpace era mathcore grind bands that are still playing music to this day. You got the original vocalist Sean Vandergrift from A Sex for a Window. He does all the crazy pterodactyl high vocals, probably one of my favorite vocalists out there. And then Jonathan Thompson from a band called The Heartland, which was like a really chaotic grind band, similar to like See You Next Tuesday. And in fact, those guys used to play shows all the time and book shows together through MySpace, which I can't even imagine traveling across country, on a tour that was booked through MySpace. But yeah, these guys are still putting shit out, and it's so good. This project is Screamo, emo violence, as they call it, band, but it's got a lot of like noise elements, ambient elements. It's very like visceral, spine chilling, perfectly avant-garde, all of the things that I loved about all that early MySpace era stuff, just like super unique and like really funky and cool. But this album has a lot of like twinkly and eerie, creepy, dare I say pretty moments at times, but you're like, this is pretty, but like in kind of like a horror way, if that makes sense. And then you have just the sheer chaos and the insanity of the vocalist doing his crazy high screams, and then the guitars just like shredding. But yeah, it's really, really cool project. If you like bands like Orchid, Meth, Destroyer, which by the way, Destroyer was another one of my favorite MySpace era bands back in the day. Their vocalist passed away last year they put out a killer EP, and apparently they're working on a new full length, which I'm really stoked for because I love it. But if you like abrasive noise, grindcore, blast beats, mathcore, just play this album. It's so good. And I can't wait to see what these guys do next. It's really,
Just do it.
Yeah, there's nothing common secure about this album, by the way. Band's called Common Secure. Nothing common secure. Don't let that.
It's very ironic.
Yeah.
It's very ironic. And this band that I'm going to talk about next is not ironic in the slightest because it is very accurate. It is a one-man progressive metal, I'd call it post-metal or Djent project. Basically, no holds barred. It's just metal. And it's called Symmetry Was Never an Option. And the album is called Darker Gray.
My sense of running away takes me alive. Love is nowhere left for me died. My fears have set me on a selfless rush of course. With every day, one seems to be getting worse.
This album is not symmetrical in one shape or another. Like, it's all over the place. Like, if you took that Miasme album that I mentioned earlier and you added some Djent parts to it, then you would get this album. And I think adding the Djent aspect of the album helped to create like a more enjoyable listening experience. Like, it creates a more upbeat and like more like bounce. I think with a lot of with bounce, but then also you're not like so confined. Sometimes when you get into like black metal and like black gaze and stuff, it's kind of predictable. You add that Djent element to it and it throws you for a loop. So then you're always locked in. You don't know where it's going to go. And I think adding that fusion to it made it such a unique and enjoyable listen. So like how I describe it is, imagine if Meshuggah and the Devin Townsend project got possessed by witches and it got taken to a dark castle to be possessed with witch's brew. Then this is the album is the result of what is in the cauldron after that possession. Witches. Like, it's witches, darkness, craziness, everything in between. You're gonna get this project. I don't think it was an easy thing to do, to be able to have each genre or subgenre stand alone, but then yet work together in harmony. But it does, and it works great. The one thing about this album is it's on the longer side. It's like an hour and 7 minutes or something like that. But I think if you because of how unique it is, bouncing around and stuff, it doesn't feel like an hour and 7 minutes. It definitely flies by a lot faster. So I think this is probably one of the best one-man projects of the month, in my opinion. So go check out this album.
Sick. All right. This album is probably one of my favorites of January. It is a band called Seer with their album Oh Merciful. This is phenomenal blackened Screamo, post-hardcore, grunge, shoegaze band from Charleston, South Carolina, with a huge emphasis on the blackened with this release. It's a really interesting blend of genres that on the surface you'd think wouldn't work well together, but they do, and it's results in a hammering and pummeling, almost like beat down hardcore type of sound with the guitars and the riffing. Kind of like, imagine like Jesus Piece in terms of like just the sheer heaviness of like that hardcore, just that forward, like in your face, punch you in the head kind of hardcore sound. But then you have like this like atmospheric and like clean guitar kind of underpinning from like these shoegazy elements. You have reverb soaked like mid-range hardcore vocals, and and it all works in unison. And you think like, how does this work? But it makes for like a really cool, raw, and interesting listen. There's a band out there that I really like. They're called Throws. And before Throws, it was another band called Bone Dance, which was just like a really straight kind of like groove oriented riff kind of, riff centric blackened hardcore band. They take no prisoners, pissed off fucking hardcore. That this band reminds me of that, but if you blended it with like Portrayal of Gylt, there's some like grindy elements in there, and then a shoegaze, heady shoegaze band that put out an album last year called Bleed. And I think Bleed put out their album on Maggot Stomp, if I'm not mistaken. And I remember like a shoegaze band put out an album on Maggot Stomp. It's weird, but really, really great like blend of sound, and it makes for a really sick release. Definitely check it out. Another top pick for me this year so far. Really excited to see like how their sound evolves and where it takes them over time. And while a lot of bands are kind of leaning into that, like shoegaze, kind of like that loathe sound where it's like dreamy and grungy and like new wavy and, but like really polished and clean. This is like they were like, I don't know. They're like, just let's go the other way with it. Like, let's just make it as dirty as possible, and I love that about it. So,
but they still have that like that kind of lo-fi, but yet gross sound. Like,
yeah,
I don't know too many bands that are doing something like that.
Yeah, but check it out. Seer, Oh Merciful, big ups to these guys. I really like their sound. So
sick.
Yeah.
That's your last pick.
Last pick. We got one more.
We got one more, and that's for me. And it's a death metal / grindcore band from Virginia, and a band called Lay Waste. And they put out this is their self-titled album. If you're a fan of like that down and dirty HM2 grindcore that basically leaves no survivors, then like these guys are like right up your alley. Like typical grindcore fashion, they're in and out, short run time for the album, but they leave their mark in the process. Like the vocals they're deep and they're brutal, and like the drums like sound like the snare and the bass are like located right in your chest. Like, when you got that thumping going on, it's like you don't know if it's your heart or if it's the sound of the drums. Like that, it's that punishing, like just attacking the drums with sheer force. So you better be walking away after listening to this album with like a bruise or two or broken tooth or something, because it'll beat you up and spit it out in real time. So like, I'm thinking of you like Nails, you like Rotten Sound, like kind of that fusion of the two, then you're gonna be a huge fan of Lay Waste. So like perfect for the gym, perfect for the car, if you're looking for a first dance at a wedding, it's just like it's just universal. It's perfect. It's good for everything.
DJ, do you have any power violence?
Yeah, like after you're done with your wedding and you're having the first dance with your dad, you're like, okay, open this shit up.
Yeah.
And then people are like flipping tables and and that's how you get the party started.
Hell yeah. All right.
And that is that.
That's that. We'll see you guys in February. And
absolutely.
There's going to be some big boy releases coming out in February. So
I cannot wait.
Yeah, excited for all that new material. But as always, like, share, subscribe. You know what we say. Stay heavy.
Stay hard.
Stay hard, baby. Let's go.
You know it.
See you on the next one.